We're here today with Hall of Famer Bob Lilly, talking about faith and sports. And you've spoken several times, and everyone that I have talked to about Coach Landry. As a young man, even though I grew up in Central Ohio, I followed the Cowboys. For some reason or another, I would follow the Cowboys, and I can remember, Landry on the sidelines and just his whole demeanor. Landry's priorities were God, family, and then football. What kind of a difference has that made in your life, and even for the franchise of the Cowboys? Because Landry's this formative coach, he's this formative presence for the entire organization. What kind of a difference has that made, not just for you, but for the Cowboys even?
Well, it made a huge difference. Coach Landry coached 29 years with the Cowboys. I think he coached from 60 through 88. And if I'm not wrong, that's 29 years. But that's a very long time to be the head coach of the football team. And he was coaching with Lombardi at New York prior to coming here.
Right.
Coach Landry we had a long talk one time, and it was during training camp. And we had a coach named Coach Wooden, who coached UCLA basketball, but he had a basketball school there during the same time we were at training camp in Thousand Oaks, California. He was very strong in his faith, very strong Christian. And so anyway, I used to talk to him a lot, Coach Landry quite a bit, and Coach Landry was talking about. He said, I grew up in South Texas and down in Brownsville in that area, but it was in the South Texas area, and I forget the name. But he said, I went to church every week, and usually on Wednesday. And he said, I went through college, I went to church, but he said, you know what, I never accepted the Lord. And he said, it was 1959, the year before he came to Dallas. He went to a full gospel businessmen's meeting. And he, at that point, he accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior. And boy, he got it with a fervor. When he came to Dallas in 1960, he started. That was the first thing that he ever did was put God, family, and football. That was the priorities of his life. And his character and integrity were impeccable. I heard Dan Reeves the other day say, well, I learned everything I ever knew about football from Coach Landry, and I've heard Ditka say that as well. They both went on to be coaches themselves.
Sure. Pretty good coaches.
Yeah, very good.
Pretty good.
I saw Ditka up in Buffalo, New York. In Chicago last week.
Yeah.
But anyway, Coach Landry, what I really, the players that he coached for any length of time, in other words, 3 years or more, 2 or 3 years or more, I would say that 98% of them turned out to be good citizens, good fathers, good husbands, and pretty much prosperous. Pretty much all of them turned out to prosper and be in good health. It's amazing, but it's biblical, and they did it.
Yeah.
And they did it because we followed his guidelines. And he read the Bible many times to us in meetings.
Really?
He had scriptures, and they were pertinent to football. They usually were pertinent to family or football or to God. It was things that were meaningful. And so these were just taught. He didn't push anything down our throat. He did not say you need to go.
But he lived it. He lived it. And when you live it, it makes all the difference in the world.
And all the players had great respect for him. And we honored this past Sunday night, we honored 50 years of FCA being in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where Coach Landry was involved in it.
Sure.
About 40-something of those years. And that was one of his big ministries, and he spoke all over, and he also headed up the Tom Landry golf tournament here, FCA golf tournament, of which all of us old players of his have been out there with him many, many times. And in fact, I hosted the Fort Worth FCA golf tournament along with Coach Wacker at TCU and Scott Murray, a broadcaster in this area, for 30 years. And then I hosted the one in San Antonio, the FCA golf tournament in auction for about 30 years. So, I mean, but we all got involved. I mean, Coach Roger's been involved ever since. We all have. I mean, Bob Bruning, all these guys.
Sure.
And I think it's made a big difference because we're able through FCA and to go into the high schools. The coaches, they have huddle meetings and they get to openly speak about the Lord and about about God and our faith. And so, what Coach Landry taught, he not only did he teach us about God, I mean, it wasn't a subtle way, but it wasn't cram it down your throat either.
Right.
It was just, that was him.
Sure.
But he was so organized. And we had blackboards they covered the whole back wall. And every person, every aspect, like defense line, linebackers, secondary or offensive line, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks everyone had goals. The offense had a goal, the defense had a goal, and those were called goal setting. He was an engineer.
Okay.
And so he had goals.
He had a plan and a goal. Yeah.
They graded every film, every person, and mistakes and whatever you did. But it was up there, and we wanted to allow no more than 100 yards rushing per game. We wanted to allow no more than 17 points. We wanted to score 22 points or more, and but it went down to tackles, and it went down to how many times did you get beat, or just everything you could imagine. So those goals were in blue and red, and so what we did is we tracked it every 2 weeks. If we were going into the red on something, we would stay out after practice about 30 minutes for a couple of days a week, and it wouldn't take more than 2 weeks for that to come back up. That worked in business you would not believe. I mean, that wasn't necessarily that was learned,
Yeah.
but it was also part of the character and integrity
Of
Coach Landry.
Coach Landry.
And it was also his engineering skills and his knowledge of his subject, which was football.
Absolutely.
But that has been a fabulous way to live my life with those goals. You set them, and my goal was not to be the richest man in the world. My goal has been to have character and integrity, and to make a living, an honest, good living. And I think that's the same goal that most of the guys learned that played under Coach Landry. The same thing. And most of these guys are Christians that played under Coach Landry.